Okay, we'll call the regular meeting of Hanwell Council to order, please, for May the 21st, 2025. And before we start our meeting this evening, I would like to inform our residents that due to the pending Canada Post strike, you may see members of council staff and our summer students hand delivering the Hanwell Herald to your homes in the coming weeks. The majority of this Hanwell Herald issue is based on the paid advertising for our Hanwell Days event, and we are in hopes of having a larger event this year, so it is imperative that the advertising reaches all of our residents. Any publications that are not hand-delivered will be in place at various locations and can be picked up. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda, please?
I, Councillor Hyslop, move to approve the agenda.
Seconder?
I, Councillor Holt, second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the consent section?
I, Councillor Hyslop, move to adopt the consent section with the removal of the Upper Kingsclear Fire Department report to be moved to Business Arising 7A and the CAO Treasurer's report to be moved to Business Arising 7B.
Seconder?
I, Councillor Fox, second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you. Any disclosures tonight, Council? I guess not. We don't. She on for public input now? No. The presentation's come up. Okay, so we don't have any public input or inquiries, but item 6, we do have a presentation on a 211 presentation. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Daniela Fernandez, and she can take it away and tell us all about the 211 system.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Daniela Fernandez, and I'm the Director of Community Engagement for the 211 New Brunswick service. My goal for today is to give you a quick overview of the 211 service, highlight some specific features that might help you in your service to the community, share a couple of stories based on calls that we have answered at 211 to give you a sense of how we can support people who rely on our service to be connected to supports, and then maybe answer any questions or comments or feedback that may come up at the end of the session. So. My contact info is on the screen if ever you want to reach out to me to request any promotional materials that you may be able to distribute in your community. And I'll remind you about that contact information at the end. But for the moment, I'm just going to get started with some basic information about 211 for those of you that may not be familiar with the service. So 211 itself is an information referral service that connects people to the full range of human, social, community, and government supports. And the idea is that the service helps people to quickly and effectively navigate the very complex network of government and community programs to help them find the supports that they need for their specific situation. The service is completely free and confidential, and our phones are answered 24/7, 365 days a year. And we also have the capacity to answer calls in over 170 different languages, thanks to our interpretation service partner called Language Line. So if ever you're supporting any newcomer families or anyone that needs language support beyond English or French, they can always ask for an interpreter to join the call when they reach out to 211.
That's pretty amazing. And
211 is a service that's actually available all across Canada, and in fact it's available all across North America. We are present in every single province and territory. Since 2020, we did receive some federal funds to expand the service to the last 3 provinces that didn't yet have access to 211. So that then included Manitoba, New Brunswick, and Newfoundland. And since then, we've had now cross-Canada coverage. And since the service here in New Brunswick launched back in October of 2020, we have been able to ensure that well over 100,000 people who call New Brunswick home have been connected to the right supports or programs when they have faced different challenges in their life. So that number does include all of the different channels that you can use to connect with 211, not just the helpline, and I'll get into what those different channels are later on in the presentation. We're also really proud to say that the distribution of calls that are coming into 211 New Brunswick actually spans the entire province. So that tells us that the service has been really well received, especially by folks in smaller and rural communities where access to services and information can sometimes be a little bit more limited. Now, I'll tell you a caller's story just to illustrate how it is that we can support people with multiple concerns and how we can collaborate with essential service providers to meet their needs as much as possible. So in this particular case, a mother of 5 children reached out to 211 looking for supports to feed her family. As the conversation went on, she shared that she wasn't working, her husband was, but that unfortunately he was acting violent at home. So immediately the community navigator at 211 asked the mother if her and the children were safe. That was their #1 priority. The mother said yes, they weren't in any danger in that moment. The navigator then asked her if she had all of the resources and information that she might need in order to find support regarding the domestic violence situation. And the mother confirmed that in fact, she was already connected with a social worker that was helping her to make a plan to get her and the children out of the home safely. So that was good. But if at any point during that conversation the answers had been different, this would have been a completely different conversation. So 911 would have been involved directly into the call if they had been in any danger, and supports around domestic violence would have also been made available to the mother. What she needed in that moment was help around food security, but now that we had a better understanding of the big picture and the transition she was about to make, we also provided her with information on employment counseling services, women's shelters, utility assistance programs to help her pay some bills, and even programs that could provide not only food, but also clothing for her children as well, so that the family had more supports and more resources to live independently when the social worker continued to make a plan to get them out of that home safely. So as you can see, we don't offer counseling directly at 211, but what we can always do is support individuals by connecting them to the right supports at the right time, and by collaborating with other emergency service providers as needed to meet people's needs on a timely basis. So while what I gave you at the beginning of the session is like the technical definition of the 211 service, I'd like you to remember 211 as basically that best friend that you can call anytime with nearly any concern, who will actively listen to you with empathy and without judgment, and guide you through your options to help you find the resources that you need. We know that life doesn't throw challenges at us at a convenient time, so it doesn't matter if it's 3 a.m. on a Sunday, first thing Monday morning, during the holidays even, you can always rest assured that 211 is there for you. So how does the service actually work? As you saw by that last example, when someone contacts 211, first of all, they're going to be connected with a real person, whom we call our community service navigator. That person will simply listen to the caller, understand what they're going through, and then they may ask some simple clarifying questions to understand their situation and their eligibility, so that they can then suggest specific programs or services that can work with that person's needs. What's also great is that oftentimes callers can even register for eligible programs on the spot during the same call, which eliminates the added stress of them trying to wade through changing programs and information that changes every day. And another little known fact about 211 is that we can also offer a callback service for vulnerable callers on a case-by-case basis. This really means that our navigators can offer this option to people in complex situations who lack social supports, and the reason for the call is just to help ensure that the information and referrals we provided the caller actually got them the support that they needed, and to explore further options if not. So for example, if our navigators are speaking to an older adult who's living on their own, who's got some mobility issues, maybe they don't have any family or social supports around, perhaps they're running out of food or medication and it's winter time, in that case, our navigator will flag that person for a callback, and if the person consents, then they can give us their name and their contact info, so we can follow up with them 48 to 72 hours later, again, just to ensure that any connections we provided them with actually got them the supports they were looking for in that moment, and they don't just fall through the cracks in the handoff between service providers. Similarly, we can also offer some additional supports at 211 to callers based on their needs on a case-by-case basis, such as support with filling out some online application forms for government programs specifically. We can always also transfer their calls directly to the appropriate service, especially if it's an emergency situation, and so on. So really our goal is to remove as many barriers as possible so that we can easily connect people to the help that they need to access and that they're eligible for. And really, that's the magic of 211. That human touch and compassion that our community navigators are able to bring to the service makes all the difference for callers that would otherwise feel lost or overwhelmed, simply trying to navigate the myriad of community resources all on their own. We likely know from experience that it's not always easy to, look up resources online and then have to filter through pages and pages of information just to try to figure out what might be the best fit for your situation. So that's why our 211 navigators are there to ease that burden of research for you, whether you are the person in need or a service provider that's looking to address somebody else's complex needs. And that could be a neighbor, a community member, a colleague, anyone in the region. Our community navigators are not volunteers. It's a question I get asked very often. They're actually fully trained professionals with backgrounds in social work, counseling, or psychology, which means that they're also really well equipped to work with people who come from marginalized populations, people who are facing a crisis, situations that need to be escalated, and they can collaborate with other essential emergency service providers or helplines as needed to ensure, again, that people receive timely support for their unique situation. As you can imagine, our navigators have to undergo extensive continuous training to become experts at community and human service navigation, because this is a very complex landscape and programs and services kind of evolve over time as well. So as you can imagine, this is a very collaborative effort between 211 and all of the partner agencies in the sector, who can always come in and offer training to our navigators to help them understand the programs and services being offered so that we can continue to make the right referrals at the right time. This is also a quick invitation to any of you that might be involved with organizations that have a profile that's listed with 211. It's always helpful for us to know any information that might have changed, any programs or services that might have been launched in the area, so that again we can continue to send people to the right resources when they call 211 for help. And I'll tell you where on the website you can go to update that information if you do have any existing profiles in the 211 database. Now, it's really important for me to tell you what 211 is, but it's also very important for me to tell you what 211 is not. So there are limits to the work that 211 itself can do. So the first thing that's important to remember is that 211 itself is not a crisis management nor a counseling service. Our navigators are not necessarily trained to offer advice, but they're always able to offer information and referral because they are familiar with all of the human, social, community, and government resources available. So their job is really to connect you with all of the folks that specialize in the work that you may need, and that could be counseling, for example, but the counseling piece does not take place within the call to 211. The other thing that's really important to remember is that 211 is a non-emergency response line. What this really means is that we are a complement to emergency lines like 911, but really we act as more of like a one-stop shop for all kinds of non-emergency needs and requests for information. Now, if someone does happen to call 211 in a moment of crisis, our 211 navigators will support them and they'll aim to de-escalate the situation based on their training. But in that case, their real objective would actually be to make a direct transfer to the appropriate crisis helpline or 911 or the RCMP, etc. as needed. So if ever you or someone you're supporting is in a crisis, we want you to call the right number to obtain immediate support. But if you don't happen to know what that number is, then 211 is always able to help. This is why we call 211 the front door to help, because we're an easy to remember 3-digit number that you can call anytime, and from there we will connect you to the right service based on your situation. Now, the kinds of services that 211 can refer people to are incredibly broad, and they mainly include a lot of the resources that you see on the screen, but there's even more services and programs listed in our database beyond that. But primarily, we get a lot of questions around things like financial assistance programs, government benefits, accessing food, shelters, supports for older adults and their caregivers, job training and employment counseling, affordable housing supports, newcomer supports around settlement, navigation of services, mental health resources and counseling, supports for children, youth, single parents, families, transportation to medical appointments, legal aid, anything like that. So again, 211 is a great resource for what we would call like that everything else category that other information and response lines are not able to address to that same level of detail. This also means that the ways in which you can help support the 211 service are also incredibly broad. From telling others about it, calling on behalf of loved ones or community members looking for support, and even helping us to make sure that all of the resources in your community are up to date in the 211 database so we can keep making the right referrals at the right time. It really takes a village to help ensure that everyone has access to the help that they need. As you can imagine, and as you know, this is a very complex landscape, and people's lives also evolve in really complex ways. So 211 counts on everyone's support to build trust for both the users and the agencies that rely on our referrals as well. Really quickly, I want to mention a couple of things. So the first one is that, again, you can always go on the 211 website at nb.211.ca and go to the Contact Us page in order to submit any updates to an existing database profile, or to let us know about any brand new programs or services that might have been launched in your community that we have not yet listed with 211. They're very simple online forms that you can fill out. You can choose to fill them out in the language of your choice, and we will take care of the translation. And someone from our editorial team that maintains the database would always follow up with you just to verify that all of the information you've submitted is accurate and how you want it to show up on our website. The other thing I want to quickly mention is maybe really interesting to you based on your roles as councilors is that we have been collecting aggregate anonymous data based on calls to 211 since the very first day of operations in New Brunswick, which was October 15th of 2020. So at this point, we have over 4 years worth of really fascinating data that tells us where people are calling from based on their postal code, what their needs are, how many times a certain need has been expressed. We know the gaps in services as well, because we know that, for example, say a young queer person calls us from a rural community looking for a shelter specifically for queer people. If that service doesn't exist where they live, we will report the fact that that was a need that was expressed in that community and that there is no service to meet that need. So really our goal is to actually share this type of data with elected officials like yourselves so that you can understand what's happening in your community, what are the services that people need, and how can we better build the capacity of our communities to meet those needs that are coming up in the region. So if ever you're curious to look at that data, it is publicly available for free anytime at 211expansion.ca. And if you have any questions or you would like to use any of that data for any official reports or funding applications, just let us know so we can help you make sense of the data and how to cite the 211 as the data source as well. But that's always available for you to look at as well. Really quickly, I just want to highlight once again that there are multiple ways to use the 211 service. Of course, the easiest to remember and most intuitive one is just dialing 211. But we also do have toll-free lines available to get around any issues with connecting to 211. So the second number you see on the screen is our main toll-free line, and that also has radio relay service capacity, which means that for folks who are deaf or hard of hearing who use sign language to communicate, they can have access to a video interpreter to help them communicate in sign language to the 211 navigator and back. And we also have a teletypewriter toll-free line, so for folks that are using a teletypewriter device, that's the best way for them to communicate with us. You can always also send emails to 211 at 211mb@findhelp.ca. That would be in English or French only. But the convenient thing about that is that if you have questions while you're doing your work, you can fire that off to 211. It's the same navigators that answer calls that would respond to those questions, and they can easily send you all of the appropriate links or online forms that you might need to look at as part of your query. The website itself, mb.211.ca, is very much a search engine that allows you to look through our database of programs and services, and there are some additional tools on the website to help you navigate and organize your search results. And online you can also chat in English or French with a navigator between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. Monday through Friday. And then we also launched an app last year called 211 Canada. It is available for iPhone and Android phones. And what's really great is that it incorporates something called natural language search so that you can just use everyday language to search for resources. So for example, you should be able to just type things in like, I'm hungry in Fredericton, and then the system will show you all of the food security resources, but just using that everyday language to search for them makes our service more accessible for folks that prefer to use that interface rather than making a call. So those are all the different ways that you can connect with 211 at any time. And just really quickly, I want to acknowledge that we have incredible partners that make access to 211 New Brunswick possible, in particular Social Development and ESIC, the Economic and Social Inclusion Corporation, the 3 United Ways that exist in New Brunswick, and the St. John Human Development Council, who hires 2 database editors to maintain our database up to date. And broadly, I'm including community organizations and yourselves, because I'm confident that now that you have a better understanding of what 211 is and how it can help you and support your work, I'm confident that you will also become ambassadors of the 211 service in your community. So the last thing I will say is that 211 is actually a service that's trademarked to United Way all across Canada. So if ever you have an opportunity to make a donation to the United Way Community Fund, it's you that's helping to ensure that someone gets the help that they need, and it's you that's helping to ensure the continuation of this great service in our province and in your community. So thank you so much for your time. I'll leave it at that. That's my contact info right there if you'd like to follow up with me for any questions or feedback that you want to provide. And I'll stop sharing my screen in case there are any questions in the room that I might need to address. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Danella?
That was very interesting. I think it's a wonderful program.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
Anyway, it looks like we're going to let you off easy tonight, but thank you very much for a very interesting and informative presentation. I didn't have a real good idea of what the 211 system is all about, but I'm much better informed as of now. So again, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 7,
Sorry,
business.
Councillor Fox, you didn't, or Councillor McKenzie, you didn't have any questions, did you?
No, just
Okay.
I can't talk much, I didn't know that existed until today.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to item 7, business arising from the consent section if applicable. We have the Upper Kingsclear Fire Department. I'll get a motion to receive and a seconder, and if anybody has any questions, we'll direct them to our clerk, and she can see our chief and get any answers to any questions that we may have. So can I get a motion to receive the fire department report, please?
I, Councillor Holt, move to receive the fire department report for March.
Seconder?
And Councillor DeCleva, second.
All right, any questions, concerns, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those contrary minded? Motion carried, thank you very much. Item B, CCO Treasury Report, we've all had a copy of that to read over. What I'll do here is we've got quite a few motions there. We'll get the motion out and second it. If anybody has any questions from the motion, we'll direct them to our CAO. So can I get a motion for to authorize and direct the CAO to obtain quotes for the necessary groundwork at the Yoho Park?
I, Councillor Dooley, move to authorize and direct the CAO to obtain quotes for the necessary groundwork for the parking lot, pavilion and playground equipment area at Yoho Park.
Seconder?
I Councillor Curtis, second.
All right, any questions, comments? All right, everybody, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Next motion for the Maps Geospatial Solutions, Inc. Can I get a motion, please?
I, Councillor Heislip, move to authorize and direct the CAO to enter into a contract with Maps Geospatial Solutions Incorporated and Ignite Economic Development Agency Incorporated for the project Enhancing Land Identification for Strategic Community Growth with a maximum cost of $3,125.
And can I get a seconder?
I Councillor Curtis, second.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried, thank you. Next motion is to authorize the CEO to enter a contract with Ecological AI and Ignite Economic Development Agency. Can I get a motion, please?
I, Councillor DeCleva, move to authorize and direct the CAO to enter into a contract with Ecologia AI and Ignite Economic Development Agency, Inc. for the project identifying water sources with a maximum cost of $3,125.
Okay, seconder, please.
I, Councillor Dooley, second.
Okay, any questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried, thank you. Next motion's to get a new food equipment supply refrigerator from Davidson Equipment. Can I get a motion, please?
I, Councillor Fox, move to approve invoice 84412 dated May 14th, 2025 from Davidson Food Equipment Supplies in the amount of $4,845 plus HST for a 2-sliding glass door refrigerator for the Upper Kingsclear Community Center.
Can I have a seconder, please?
I Councillor Curtis, second.
Any questions, comments?
I'd just like to make a comment, just so the public knows, this is for a fridge at the community center at Upper Kingsclear that suddenly died on us, so this was not a budgeted item, and that's why I had to bring it forward.
Okay, any other questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried, thank you. Can I get a motion to accept the CAO Treasurer's Report, please?
I, Councillor Heislip, move to accept the CAO Treasurer's Report.
Seconder,
I, Councillor Holt, second.
any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried, thank you. Now, item C is black arcs. I need a motion to suspend the rules so we can discuss this a little bit. So if I can get a motion to suspend the rules, that'd be great.
I, Councillor Holt, move to suspend the rules so we can discuss.
I, Councillor DeCleva, second.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Now with the rules suspended, we can discuss the Black Arcs in portfolio for software development and traffic flow for Hamel.
Okay, council, so at our last meeting, you asked for a little bit more clarification. This project is to be able to find some solutions for the concerns that we have at the entrance coming into Hanwell with the traffic. So I reached out to them and they said that they can do this kind of in phase 1 and phase 2. So with phase 1, they can provide us with the software development, but they can also do reports. So they can look at what traffic was, say, 5 years ago. We can give them an idea of what the business growth is going to be up in the industrial park area, say even 5 years from now, so that when we are addressing the province saying that we do have an issue, that we could have some reports and studies and stuff to go along with that. So with phase 2, that can extend this program a little bit more so that we can use it more for economic development. We can be able to put in subdivisions and look at traffic flow. We can look if we want to put in a lobby for another school. We can possibly say, well, it would be better in this location compared to this location. So there's many things that we can also do with it in phase 2, and it can be done in separate years so that we could possibly budget for it in October and do phase 2 next year if you want. So we can also just budget again and do phase 1 and 2 next year. But I have provided you with the amounts. So phase 1, if we wanted to do it, it's figured out to be $33,548 plus HST. So that is, this is a joint company. So Black Arcs is the software developers, and then Portfolio is the company that would be doing all of our studies and stuff like that. So between the two working together, it would be like your 30,000. So as far as budget goes, under streets, what's it called? Under transportation, we do have budgeted $75,000. We kind of thought that we could use those funds for the transportation study of phase 2 that we wanted to do, but it's probably up to you if you feel that this is more important right now to be able to figure out those traffic concerns based on hoping that the province would allow us to take over the road, so to have this other study done. So
Can't we do both?
oh, it's 75,000. You're probably not going to get a transportation study done for like 40,000 if we take the 30 out of that.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we do the. I don't even know if we get one done for 75,000 a proper.
You might not, and it could be something that we could start it later in the year, so that like your transportation study phase 2, and then
Second
budget for it, so that you've kind of got the study in 2 years kind of thing. We could possibly do that. We can discuss.
My concern is the other one has been on hold since 2018 or 19. It's been a long time, and we keep putting it off.
Okay.
I think it's for Susan.
On this Black Arcs for questions and discussions, I'm gonna start around the table if anybody has any concerns. I mean, like our CAO said, this is quite a bit of more money than they had asked for originally. They were talking about a $10,000 estimate when we talked to them at that meeting we had. But anyway, I'm gonna start with the Deputy Mayor Jonah. If she has any questions or concerns, I'll start with her and then move around the table so everybody gets a chance to speak. So, Deputy Mayor?
No, I have no concerns about this project. I've been in favor of it From the beginning, I think it's necessary, and I don't recall them saying anything about $10,000 at the meeting, but anyway, I have no problems with it. I think their work is very well done, and I think it'll be a great value.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Heislip?
No, I agree. I think it's a good project, but I would like to just start with phase one and see how it goes, what we get, and then go from there before committing to the phase two for sure.
Thank you. Councillor Fox?
Yep, I have nothing to add to that, I'm in agreement.
Okay. Councillor Holt?
I agree with Holly. My only concern is whether or not any of this study is actually going to be given due consideration by the provincial government and the departments. It has to get done though.
Yeah, they're well aware of the problem down there. Anyway, Councillor Leclerc?
I'm in support of this.
Councillor Kraus?
Same.
Councillor Lewley?
Support the first phase, need the second phase for performance review.
Okay.
Darren.
Darren? Councillor McKenzie?
So I'm okay with this moving forward with the first phase with this. I just want to make sure that we don't lose sight of the next phase of the transportation study. So I'd like to see us still move forward with at least starting that this year. And even if we have to continue that into the next year.
Okay.
Okay, so if there's no more comments, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Well, we did.
Oh,
yeah,
we
we
did
did
make the
motion.
motion.
We did make the motion.
Motion.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I need a motion to authorize the CAO to enter into a contract with Black Arcs.
I, Councillor Heislip, move to authorize the CAO to enter into a contract with Black Arcs and Portfolio for a software development and traffic flow plan for phase one only in the amount of $33,548 plus HST.
Seconder.
Councillor Holt will second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No one opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, council. All right, item D, Turfworks lawn maintenance. Need a motion here?
So council, with Turfworks, this was for the lawn maintenance and the grubbing and stuff like that. You had asked for additional information. I believe the clerk had sent that out to you. You wanted to know about pesticides and stuff like that, and he had forwarded you the information on that, so.
Okay, can I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion so we can see where it goes. I, Councillor Heislip, move to authorize the CAO to accept the quote from Turfworks Landscape and Design in the amount of $9,720 plus HST for the Platinum Lawn Maintenance.
Seconder.
Councillor DeCluva, second.
Any questions, comments? Councillor Fox?
Okay, so I'll be voting against this motion. I took a look at the lawn. Honestly, I think it's fine. I mean, look around the subdivisions, everybody has a bit of grub issues and stuff. I'm just not in favor of us spending this money for lawn. I think if it's cut, it's fine. I also think that there's other ways that we could do this if it needs a liming or needs some fertilizer put down. That's all stuff that we have students in the summer that might be able to do that. I'm just not in favor of putting more stuff onto the lawn and spending the money on the lawn. I think the lawn looks fine.
Okay, any other questions?
I just have a comment,
Sure.
I guess. I had asked about the nematodes, I think that's the way it is, which is beneficial rather than using pesticides, but was told by the clerk's response was that they are very hit and miss. And I have talked to a few people that I know that have used them, and they said the same thing, like very hit and miss. So if there's a lot of damage, it's better to do the first kind of the pesticide application, it's probably the only way, but then to continue to lime and fertilize, and it would reduce the amount of grubs. And I personally, I have noticed that in my own backyard, because we used to lime and fertilize and all that stuff, and then we just got lazy and we thought, oh no, it'll be fine. Oh no, it was not fine. For the last, I guess, 2 years previous, my backyard looked like it was literally a tiller had went through it from the raccoons and the crows and the skunks eating the grubs. It was crazy. It was horrible. It was a mess. So we started liming again. And lo and behold, it's not near as bad. There's a few holes here and there and whatever. So it is important to me that you keep up with the maintenance of the lawn. That's just my comment.
Councillor Lecleva.
I support this because I think at least for this year, we should do some preventative maintenance. And I don't want this to become an annual thing. I think Councillor Fox is right, that is a lot of money to be putting out there. I do think we should be investing in some of our own maintenance when we have our own grounds crews. I think if we don't feel like we're able to do it, I feel like maybe that's something we should be looking at for the future, for building capacity within our own. I would rather our own staff be trained to do it in the future, or whatever that looks like. But.
Okay. Councillor Dooley.
I'm in agreement with Councillor Lecleva.
Councillor McKenzie, do you have a question?
I just want to say I'm okay with it this year, but I think in future years we gotta be a little bit more proactive on maintenance ourselves with like the liming and stuff.
Yes.
Okay, with no more questions or comments, I'll call for the question. All those in favour signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Hey,
Nay.
Okay, so
Oh.
keep your hands up, please.
Keep your hands, we have 4-4.
Susan, Dave, Dave, so we got 1, 2,
You guys got the count?
so 4, so you will have to do the tie.
Well, it's a tie. This doesn't happen very often with Hanwell Council, but I feel quite strongly that the building should look proper for a municipal building, and we have a lawn that, let's just say, certainly doesn't meet anybody's expectations. We sat on a building that looked ugly for 5 years until we finally got that fixed. Now we've got a nice looking building. We should have a nice looking lawn to go with it. So I will vote in the affirmative. Therefore, the motion will be carried at a 5-4 vote. Thank you very much. New business, item A, merge program. Motions for done through the CAO report?
Yes, Council, so I had put the merge program on our agenda, but then I realized that I had also put it into our CAO report. So both of those projects have been awarded and have already been started. So with that, you've already done the motions like under the councillors' reports, but so that was kind of an oversight. I probably should have had it removed at the very beginning, but
We'll just be in thorough, make sure everything gets done.
doing things twice.
Item B, amendment to bylaw 07-2015, a bylaw to regulate the collection of solid waste, be given its first reading by title.
So this is the solid waste collection. As you know, we've had a few issues with the garbage and how we are going to be collecting it. So we're going to have to really tighten up this bylaw. So we've made some changes. So the very first one is just going to have to be the reading, and then we'll make those changes and come back to you. We have to advertise it on our website so that everybody knows.
Everybody good with that? Can I get a motion, please?
I, Councillor Fox, move that amendments to bylaw 07-2015, bylaw to regulate the collection of solid waste, be given its first reading by title.
Seconder?
I, Councillor Crowe, second.
Somebody read that by title.
After
We
you vote.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried, thank you.
Bylaw 07-215, a bylaw to regulate the collection of solid waste.
Thank you, council. Moving on to item C, changes to ward and/or council composition. I need a motion there so we can inform government, please.
I, Councillor Holt, move to authorize and direct the CEO to contact environment and local government that Hanwell does not wish to make any changes to the ward and/or council composition in the 2026 municipal election.
I,
Seconder.
Councillor DeCleva, second.
All right, questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried, thank you. Item D is X Element Limited. We need a motion for the,
Oh, okay.
no,
Sorry.
do we? So we're looking for a motion for the authorized quote for X Element Technology for water monitoring systems as presented at the May management meeting. Can I get a motion, please?
I, Councillor Dooley, move to authorize and direct the CAO to obtain quotes from X Element Technology Limited for the water monitoring system as presented at the May management meeting.
Seconder?
I, Councillor Crouch, second.
Okay, any questions, comments? All those in favor signify by, oops, Councillor Holt.
The only concern I have with this, the monitoring system, after looking at it for a bit, I look at this as a tool for a municipality that has an actual water source for their water. To drop these things down into people's wells or something like that, or pull water up from a well, put it into a bucket of water. I don't think it's feasible. But again, it's the consensus of the council.
And this is just for
Quotes.
quotes.
I know this is just for quotes, but
Whatever,
in
doesn't mean
turn, again, I don't see the feasibility of their program for our needs.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Just the one contrary minded? Two?
Sorry.
Sorry.
Councillor Holt and Councillor Kraus?
And just one?
No, two.
Oh.
Councillor Holt, Councillor Kraus. All right. Motion carried. Thank you, council. There are no proclamations for this meeting. 10 upcoming activities, pulled back ceremony June the 12th at 2025 at 7 p.m. and Hanwell Days June the 13th, 14th and 15th at 2025.
Can I just talk about that for 1 second?
Sure.
So council, I haven't had a chance to talk to you about this pullback ceremony. Chief Kraus was wondering if we wanted to kind of do it at the same time as Hanwell Days. So this is for our new fire truck that we got, so we could possibly do the pullback, so they just push it back into the fire hall. All fire departments get together and push it back.
Just for clarification, I'll go on to Councillor Kraus. It says pullback. Is it pullback or pushback?
I can't remember, but
I think
it's
we pushed it.
basically it's a tradition that you push the new fire truck inside the building into service.
Yeah, we did that with our ladder truck, if people recall back
Yeah.
a few years
Oh,
back.
so it's pushback?
It's pushback, yeah.
I,
So we'll get everybody together and push on the new fire truck and push her into the hall, and that's
so
going to...
technically we get two pushing.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
We get two new trucks to push in.
Hey, we'll push them both in.
Yeah. So, we just thought that it might be a great opportunity where everybody's kind of into Hanwell Days mode to incorporate it right into Hanwell Days, so.
I think it would be a great opportunity for the public to get out too, just to see what their taxpayers are paying for. And it's these, both of these trucks are beautiful trucks. They're ultra modern. They're certainly going to be handy if we do have to put them into service. Let's hope we never have to, but if we do, we do. We have them if we need them.
Chief Kraus thought that maybe they might do like a barbecue, or we would possibly give out vouchers for an ice cream across the road at the little ice cream shop or whatever, so we'll, think of something that we can do with it, but I just wanted to check with you guys, to make sure that the 12th worked for you, although it's kind of late considering I already put it on the agenda.
Well, we'll enhance the ceremony as much as possible. Okay, so moving on, we're going to move into closed session, so I need a motion to move into closed session, please.
I, Councillor Holt, move to go into closed session.
Seconder,
Councillor Kraft, second.
questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. We are now in closed session. We have a closed session.
I, Councillor Holt, move to come out of closed session and go back into open session.
Seconder,
Councillor Kraft, second.
any questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. So we have a couple of motions to do, council.
I, Councillor Heisler, move to award the contract for the Rural Community of Hanwell Recreation Master Plan to Glen Group Limited and Gemtech in the amount of $59,745 plus HST to be completed by October 1st, 2025.
I,
Seconder,
Councillor Holt, will second.
questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you. Second motion.
And Councillor DeCleva moved to authorize and direct the CIO to purchase a replacement truck box from Southern Metal for $5,250 plus HST.
Second.
I, Councillor Dooley, second.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you. Motion, third motion?
Nope, don't have
Nope, that's it. All right, so there's no more motions. Our date, time, and location of the next meeting would be regular council meeting, council chambers, June the 18th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
I, Councillor Holt, move to adjourn.
Meeting adjourned at 7:45.